All right. All right. Well, listen. Good morning, everybody. I want to say thank you for allowing us to continue to do this on Wednesdays. Mark and I really enjoy this, and it's great to see everybody and communicate. So, I appreciate you spending the time with us this morning. So, we've got a little bit of a different format today. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do some updates like we normally do. We have somebody from BrokerMetrics that's going to be joining us that's going to actually go over the system, how to use the system, explain the system to us so you can get in there and start running some great reports with your buyers and sellers. So we'll do that within the next 15 or 20 minutes or so here.
That's awesome.
John, have you logged on yet? John?
I am here.
All right. Well, actually, you know what? If I got you right now, why don't we have you go first, if you don't mind?
Okay.
That way,
no, I don't mind at all.
I don't keep you too late into this because we got some other things to cover. So John's from BrokerMetrics, and that's the product we were talking to you guys about last week. Now, BrokerMetrics allows you to run all those reports that I keep pulling up for you guys every week. So without any more conversation, I'll turn it over to John. John, do you have the share your screen link on the bottom if you need to?
Sure, yes. Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Everybody see okay on there? So,
yay. Yep.
Great. So my understanding here today, we're going to be going through Agent Metrics, a new addition onto your office on there. So it's similar to BrokerMetrics, but it is for more agent-related searching. So we're dealing with buyers, we're dealing with sellers, we're talking about the market itself. And so I'm John Ashley. Just for a quick introduction, I'm a product trainer here at Terradatum. I've been doing this for a little bit of time now. Really enjoy being able to connect with you guys this morning. So thanks for letting me go first. I just got enough coffee in me now that I'm ready to go. So, I didn't want to have to go for a second cup. So a couple things I try to go through in each of my Agent Metrics trainings. I want to define your available tools that you have. I'm going to teach you how to navigate and search your different options. And then I want you to be able to understand and use those key market indicators. That's what we call things like sold, under contract, supply and demand. Understanding those market indicators are, of course, always important. It's always important to be able to understand what's occurring on the market. But during an uncertain time, during the time when you may see more expireds at the market or new listings may be struggling in certain areas, you need to be able to understand and watch the market in a more close relationship than maybe you would in the past, just to make it so that as a week-by-week basis, as your sellers and your buyers are talking about, well, I saw this on social media and I saw that on the news, you can go through it on a data-related note and say, hey, this is what's occurring on the market, this is what's happening, under contracts are still occurring, or this is still happening in your market. And of course, the ability to answer that age-old question. And everybody's going to know the question, you hear it all the time, the question of, what is the market doing now? You hear that everywhere you go, probably every single time you say I'm a real estate agent or I'm a broker, they go, hey, well, what's the market doing? Well, you know what? With this tool here, you're going to not only be able to give just kind of the short answer, well, I think it's doing this. No, you're going to be able to be the expert on the market, be able to define exactly what's happening and be able to show them, hey, this person really knows what they're talking about. So let's just hop right in here. I'm actually borrowing somebody else's login. Actually one of your logins that you're using within Agent Metrics to be able to log in. You just register for the program. It is a downloaded program onto your computer. Just register with the link that was sent out. And Mark, Jeff, I don't know if you shared that already.
Yeah, so everybody, I sent that link in last week's email. I think that went out either on Thursday or Friday with the recorded message. We'll make sure when we send out this video, we attach the link to that email as well too.
Yep, and the link is real easy here. Just come down here to register, and you plug in your MLS agent ID to make it so you can connect it to the MLS, because all of our data comes directly from the MLS itself. We update daily, and so everything we have is fresh up to yesterday. You have 3 tools on your account: Market Share, which helps you compare offices to one another. So you want to show how Russell Real Estate Services is the best in luxury in this area, or days on market in this area. Market Share is great for being able to compare offices to one another. The Market Dynamics tool is about the market itself, and we'll do a little bit of focus on this today, especially while we're dealing with COVID-19 market. We want to be able to understand the market. And then pricing analysis couples with your CMA.
Yes, this is Kate, and I
I
have a
think Kate's
reservation
taking
at
a.
2:15.
Oh, I think we got somebody that's not
I
muted
will see
here.
you there.
Fortunately,
Hi,
it's
Kate.
I come with a mask everywhere I go.
all right. Who's usually it pops right up? I mute him here. Hold on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Kate, it's Kate.
I don't see her yet.
Kate Kashani.
I'm here.
Okay, do you mind muting yourself for me?
Okay, hold on. I'll just unmask myself here. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Morning.
Okay, I got her. Okay, very good.
Okay,
All
perfect.
right, keep
Thanks,
going.
Kate. Oh, perfect. Though, you know, we do want to make sure and hear every phone conversation as they come in. So if anyone has any embarrassing phone conversations, I'm joking, of course. So pricing analysis here with your CMA tool, this is going to be able to connect to be able to show why a seller should be pricing where they're pricing at. So, you know, when you're
Did we lose you, John?
I think maybe it muted everyone, so I was muted there for a second.
Oh,
Sorry
sorry
about
about that. Okay, all right.
No problem.
Go ahead, bud.
So one of the hard parts with your CMA when you're talking to your potential seller on there is trying to convince them why they need pricing where they're pricing at. You know, you can of course show them pictures of homes around you, and that's great with your CMA tool. But of course, in their minds, they're always thinking, well, I have this and they don't have that, and you know, my home is better in this way or that way. And so taking the photos out of it and just dealing with the data related search on there and saying, look, the median price range went up or went down in your area, taking it from just a data point search and saying, look, this is where you compare to other homes in your area. And this is why it needs to be in comparison with pricing on here, especially when you're talking about sold price to original price and price changes on a home. And pricing analysis really helps with that. So we'll touch on that real quick, but let's jump into market dynamics, do some searching in there. Again, we update directly from the MLS itself. So yes, MLS is pulled up here. The property types that you see here and the area types that you have available to you for your searching should look very similar to what you're used to within the program, within the MLS. If you ever see a property type or area type that's not included, let us know. We'll see if we can get it added on. So let's just do a very simple search here, maybe single family. And if it's okay, the city of Strongsville, anybody want a different city other than that? I just wanted to pull up one of those ones where I know where an office is located. I don't hear any objections, so I'll just grab Strongsville here. So this is great for individual location-based searching on here. I could pull up more than one search if I want to determine the market area, or if I just want the whole market, if I just want to understand what the entire MLS is doing, we also have an all MLS type search as well. But let's just start single family Strongsville, understand what's happening in that city. I'm going to start with a 2-year monthly report, but I want you to know, and I'm going to show this in here in just a bit, this 6-month weekly report. There's a lot of companies and there's a lot of MLSs out there that provide monthly reports, which is great if you're at the beginning of the month, because then you can see what occurred in the month previous. What isn't usually brought up are these weekly reports, where you can go week by week to understand what's happening on the market right now. That may not be as important sometimes when you're dealing with just a normal market, but when you're dealing with constant changes happening on the market, it's going to be a big deal understanding week by week what's occurring. So let's just do a 2-year monthly report real quick, just to get a good understanding. You have price range options. You have, let me get that real quick. You have price range options, you have bedroom, bathrooms options, square footage, lot size, resale versus new, all those different options on there to make it so that you can clarify the market and make it so that you're really showing, you know, this is the specific area I'm talking about. I'm only talking about resales in this particular city, or I'm only talking about this in a particular area. That little pop-up on there, what that was telling me was, right now you see April 2018 is selected and April 2020 is selected. What I can do is I can left click and then push the shift button and left click to be able to compare 2 months that I want to compare to another. So if I want April 2019 versus April 2020, just that left click and that shift left click. And I can do the same with any of these months on here. I could do September 19 versus April 2020 or March 20 versus April 20, whatever you like on there. A couple details pop up when I select those months down here at the bottom. So you'll see the sold median price went up by almost 2%. You can see $4,600 there. I could even, if I want, right now it's just looking at month to month. If I do a whole time period search here, I can see that the median price has risen by 3.3%. So a good amount of median price increase over the time here. Of course, we'll notice in the winter months, in the fall, usually you have a decrease that occurs in median price. And then it starts to go up in the springtime. And we're starting to see a little bit of that April 2020 here. We'll see if that continues into May. But the point being is that when it comes to median price and the sold rate, looking pretty similar to what it was the year before. Before I dig too far, just a couple navigational items. There's a file here at the top with print preview, print, emails, PDF, save as PDF, and export. That exports to a CSV type file. Normally you'll be saving these probably as PDFs, so you can also get the graphs on there as well. We also have some shortcuts to do the same thing: print preview, print, export to CSV, email to PDF. The tool section here allows you to jump back and forth between your different tools. So if you're running a market report you want to build into your CMA, just jump to pricing analysis. Search and then custom search takes me back to my search box. Or just click on this big magnifying glass here. Preferences is where you can change your password. My options under preferences is where you can add an email signature, and you can also add a company logo. That way you can have your Russell Real Estate logo on all of your printouts and PDF files. All right, so other items I can add onto here. So right now I have only sold selected. I could also come here to the chart data and choose under contract, expired, if I wanted new listings. It only allows you to choose 3 at a time because it gets a little convoluted after 3, but you can look at here and see that for the median price and new listings, starting to go up here. Last year, similar, April, May started going up. March was a little bit higher there. March this year was a little bit, maybe a little lower than it was last year, but not much. In new listing price going up. Interesting that January was so high for new listing price when you're comparing last year, but you'll notice December to January was a pretty big hike the year before as well. So interesting to see that little spike there. We'll also notice the expired numbers on here and see sometimes it's a pretty big difference, sometimes it's not a pretty big difference in median price versus the other pricing on there as well. So for example, here in April, it was 260,000 for under contract listings. Most listings sold at 245, and then the median price for expired was at 330. So pretty decent distance on there between expired to sold listings. So watching the median pricing for an area, understanding kind of where the market is located, that's going to be always beneficial on there. And also just keep you up to date on what's occurring on the market as a whole. We include sold average as well as median average. I like median because it removes what I like to call unicorn listings. You know, that $1 million house in the $100,000 neighborhood, or the foreclosure in the, in the new construction area, those kind of listings that would cause the sold average to jump up or jump down. You don't see that with a median, but we do also show average if that's preferred. Sold price to original price comparison. I really like this report, especially when I'm talking to a seller about the danger of overpricing a home. So you'll notice on there that the average line here is set at 99.2% and then 89.8%. And what that's telling me, dark blue line here, is no price changes. So if I have no price changes on the home, I'm within 1% of the price for the sold price versus the original price. But if I need to make price changes on it, on average, looking at all this time period here, it jumps down to 89.8%. So essentially, you're talking to a seller, they're just absolutely convinced of a price. You can say, look, we overpriced this home. You just immediately take 10% off the top. Essentially, when looking at the average of the sold price to original price, just take 10% of whatever price you're thinking you're going to be doing, because that's what you're going to be possibly losing by overpricing the home. So, of course, probably say it in a nicer way than that. So, but just looking at original price to sold price, and then looking to sold price to list price, which usually is a little closer. And then this one right here, what I'll usually do is add the average line, just so I can see what the average is for the area. So for single family in Strongville, 95.4% sold price to original price. So if you're doing better than that line, then guess what? You were doing better than the average of the market. It's a pretty good way, pretty good information to know, and makes it so that you can a little bit market yourself there, especially if you're talking to some sellers about why they should choose you as a lister. So we have a lot of great details: average square feet. You can pull in all kinds of numbers: expired, new, under contract. That's all under pricing, supply and demand here. So of course, how many listings were in the inventory, how many under contract, how many sold. This supply and demand feature is is being used quite a bit right now, especially as we're talking about the market as a whole. You'll notice that the inventory took a pretty good sized dip here in April and in March. I added expires on there because one of the key features on there could be, well, was it caused by an exorbitant amount of expireds that occurred on the market? Some markets, that's what I see. There was a lot of listings that were withdrawn or temporarily taken off the market because of some fear going on in the market itself. You know, if you're the home that you're selling isn't a go and show, it's a place where you have a family, they may think about temporarily withdrawing during this time period. It's understandable. But looking at this inventory and looking at the expired, yeah, it did spike up a little bit in March, but that wasn't the overall cause of why the inventory is so low. So let's take a look here at new listings being added on. So you'll notice compared to last year, there's a lot less new listings being added on, and yet we still have listings that are going under contract, and we have listings that are selling in a pretty large amount here in March and a pretty decent amount in April too. What's that telling me on there? Okay, telling me that maybe there is not as much of a new supply occurring on the market. You'll notice over this time period here, it decreased by 53.7%. If we just compare these 2 months, you'll notice there's a 33% decrease April to April. Okay, so that's showing me not as many people are putting their homes on the market, which could affect month supply of inventory. And we'll take a look here at that in just a second, but just wanted to show that on there that yes, we still have a good number of under contracts occurring, not as many as last year, but still a good number occurring. The inventory is down, but noticing how many listings are being put on the market, the resupply of the market, that new listing count is a key for seeing the current inventory and why it's lower than it has been in the past. So just understanding of the market, being able to watch it, and the reason why this is important, especially as you're talking to a seller or a buyer on there. First of all, if you look at for sale last day of the month, a lot of MLSs will provide you just what was active during that month. We like to also provide for sale last day of the month, which is the number of listings that potentially move over into the month of May. So looking at April 2020, there was 68 listings left over at the end of April. So potentially 68 moved over into the next month, compared to 122 that were for sale at some time period during April. So understanding that number, seeing how many went under contract is going to take you to the sales rate and see that we have a lower month supply of inventory, which would indicate a seller's market. For those that are not equipped, don't understand MSI, perfectly okay. To understand month supply of inventory, anything usually lower than 5 usually is looked at as a seller's market. Anything above 5 is usually looked as a buyer's market. Of course, it's depending upon your area. But the key feature is on here. If no new listings were added after the month of April, how long would it take for the inventory to deplete on the market by going under contract, essentially? So about a month and a half. This indicates that usually the seller has a little bit more power in the negotiation feature on there, and that if a bad negotiation comes or you have an under contract that isn't beneficial to the seller, you could look at possibly looking at a different under contract or coming back with a higher amount, just because it is a seller's market in this instance. And we'll notice it's even lower than it was last year. Not by a lot, but still lower. And part of that is because of a lower inventory, even though we still are having under contracts occur on the market, and we're not seeing as much of a resupply, which means that possibly as moving into the month of May, we may even see a little bit even more of a seller's market where the MSI even goes lower than what it is currently. So all those key factors in there are going to be information that you want as you're trying to make good decisions, or you're trying to have conversations with your sellers about what they need to be doing right now, or even with your buyers. If you have a buyer on there that they're sitting there and they're like, well, but I really want this item on there, and say, well, okay, is it more important to get the home in this circumstance, or is it more important to have that one item within the home? And so helping and talking about negotiating, understanding what's occurring on the market, and understanding on the seller side too, saying, okay, look, listings are still going under contract. Not as many new listings are being added, but people are still seeing homes, whether it's a virtual tour or however they're doing those tours. And so understand that potentially right now, your house could be looked at and also go under contract, even in a better rate here than it was the year before. So just understanding the market, watching it as a whole is really going to be able to assist you as you're trying to explain the market to your seller or buyer. And as I mentioned on there, we do have a 6-month weekly report, which I just want to hit really fast. And like I said, the reason why this is so important right now is as the market is changing, and you know what, let me look at just an all MLS report real quick. Single family all MLS, just to see what's happening in the entire MLS right now. Just an understanding of what's happening in your entire area, not just a specific region within that area. So,
And guys, this is the one I've been pulling up every week for you. We've been going over that report every week. It's been very helpful. So yeah, if you want to show it to them, that'd be great.
excellent. So give it just a second to run here. Of course, when you're on a Zoom meeting, everything slows down just a little bit. So, so give it just an extra second to run. But you're already seeing the median price on there. It's staying pretty decent there in the Strongsville area. And I wanted to pick a specific city for some of the searching on there because on the agent side, as you're talking to a seller or buyer, you're usually not talking about the market as a whole. You're usually trying to get down to what their area is and really explain to them what's occurring around them, especially if you're doing a listing presentation or you're doing a presentation to a buyer about looking at a particular pricing for an area. So taking just an extra second to run here. There we go. So you can see the median price is going up in the area for sold. I don't always look at sold in the immediate just because I understand that sold does show consumer demand, yes, but it's really showing consumer demand going back several weeks when the listing originally went under contract. What I usually pay attention to the most here are these under contract numbers. This shows current consumer demand. This shows that buyers are still out there showing homes right now, not back in March or in the beginning of April there. So you can see that consumer demand is probably driving up median price range a little bit here. We can see inventory on here is going up a little bit in pricing as too. Sometimes it's following the under contract, sometimes it's lower. That's always kind of interesting when it's lower than the under contract amount. And then heading over to supply and demand, the key indicators that I look at the most when trying to understand what's occurring on the market currently, just this week here, I usually look at under contract, indicating that consumer demand, people out there seeing homes right now. I look at the resupply of the market, just seeing how many new listings are being added. People are still willing to put their homes on the market, and you'll see April or March here went up. April kind of took a hit here as we went, into March, beginning of April. That's when a lot of announcements occurred for a lot of states. And then you'll see it's starting to go up again as people are coming back on the market, realizing that the market in their area could overall be pretty okay, and seeing that listings are going under contract around them is also bringing back some stability onto the market as well. And then you see that resupply, that huge decrease in the resupply in the market, which is going to affect your under contracts on there as your MSI. This is just looking at the number of under contracts going up over time here, but understanding your MSI over time here and seeing if it's becoming more of a seller's market or more of a buyer's market. And for your area, it's becoming more and more of a seller's market, indicating more negotiating power on the seller side. So a lot of powerful resources on here. If I have a couple minutes, do I have a couple minutes I could run a real quick pricing analysis search? Jeff, Mark, I just wanted to make sure on there that it's I guess I'll just run it real quick. I was just
Yeah,
seeing
we got about 5 more minutes, John, if you could.
Perfect. So let me head over to pricing analysis real quick. This is going to be extremely helpful, as I talked about earlier, dealing with your CMA. So let me just grab a particular subdivision or maybe a zip code, just seeing does anybody have a preference on there, or is it okay if I just grab one particular subdivision on here?
Yep, go right ahead.
Okay. Why don't we just look at Ridgewood here? Of course, I have no idea what the median price in this area is, so I am just going to take a guess here. Let's just say 300,000, and let's see how close I get. If I was a gambling man, I would have lost. So you notice here that the median price in this area is between 120 to 140. I am way off. So let's pretend for a moment that I accidentally put the 3 on there, and it should be 120, not 300,000. So let's take a look at that real quick. 120 to 140 here. Well, this is 120 to 125 here. So we can see 8 listings sold in this particular price range. The first thing I like to take a look at is my distribution of price, just so I can understand, how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms hit each price range on here, how many square feet. You notice it's pretty similar. except for in bathrooms. Bathrooms, it seems like if it has an extra bathroom, it sells at a little higher rate. Bedrooms, not so much, and square footage, not so much. And then all of them are pretty low on the lot size on there. But those are just important. It's just to make sure that I'm double checking myself to make sure I'm in the right, just in the right area for pricing. I just want to clarify this to say, okay, well, am I looking in the right range, or should I be looking at a higher or lower amount based upon the number of bedrooms and bathrooms? So for this one, I think I'm in the right range. Let's, I'm just going to take this up to $10,000 on there. Just add a couple more listings on here, 120 to 130. That's a good range to look at. For market size, you can see that a lot more homes, so just 2 more homes sold in this range last year, but there were quite a few more homes that were selling in a lower range compared to this year, which is important when you're talking about market pricing and seeing that the median price has gone up by several $1,000s on there. So maybe originally you were looking at $119,000 for this home, and now you're looking at 125, 126. As you notice, the median price has gone up in the area. So, and which takes you to your target pricing tool. Each one of these dots on here represents a home that's sold. If it's empty, means it's had no price changes before it went under contract, of course. If it's filled in, it means it's had at least 1 or more price changes. So maybe you have a seller that's just absolutely convinced they should be looking at the 135 range or 137 range based upon a house that's sold around the corner. And you can talk about that house around the corner. First thing I do is I try to eliminate some homes that may not compare to my house. So as we're looking at this, maybe I was just seeing if there was one that really stuck out, had a lot more square footage or anything like that compared to on here. And you know what? I would have taken this one out maybe because of square footage, but then I noticed they originally priced it at 120, and then it sold at 124 with only 27 days on the market. So I'm going to keep it there as a good example to show the potential seller of, yes, this home is bigger than yours, and yet, you know, no price changes, quick selling on there because they underpriced, which may not be where they want to hit on there, but it's going to be important, especially when you're talking about this last report real quick, the sold price to original price comparison, where you can see at the bottom of the page that the 10 homes that had no price changes started off at 123,880. Most of it ended at 123,400, so very close in pricing. 99.6% sold price to original price with only 22 days on the market. Quick sales on there. 1,700 square feet on there on average, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. The 3 homes that were selling at 136, so closer to the range where this seller thinks that they should be selling their house, most of them sold at 125. So yes, it is higher than the amount that we sold on those listings that had no price changes, but it was 83 days on the market. So we went potentially from 1 to 2 mortgage payments up to 4 or 5 mortgage payments that they now have to wait, not only the days on market, but they also have to wait the under contract period and continue making payments on that house while they're waiting for the house to finally sell. And so you're talking about, yes, it is a slight difference on there, but let's add in how much you're paying waiting for that house to sell in the meantime, whether that be mortgage payments or lawn care, everything that you have to worry about with that house to make it so that it's finally going to sell. And you'll notice it has less square feet, but it has 1 additional bedroom there. So talking to them, this really breaks it down very easily. Each one of these dots, like I said, represents a home. And so you can bring up these homes and say, look, it started off at 130, sold at 127, but it had 74 days on the market. So why don't we start off at 125? And if we don't see any movement on it within the first 15, 20 days, take it down to 123, see if we get some more movement on the home. I know you really feel like it should be at 135, but look at this example right here of this house that started off 135 and it was on the market 3 months before it was able to be able to go under contract. You know, it's a pretty large period of time on there. And the longer that the home's on the market, potentially the less it's going to be able to sell. So really great tool, great feature. And like I said, sometimes it takes those pictures out of the CMA equation where they make up in their minds that their home is worth more because they have their house have this, their house has that, it has blue. Be able to explain it on that end is going to really help them understand what's occurring. So if you have any questions, you can always contact our customer support, all of your agents. It's a free call. Give them a call Monday through Friday from 8 to 6. You can also send in an email if you have any questions about the program, or if there's anything that on the program that you need assistance with at all, they're very happy to help. And that's pretty much it for me. You want to see if there's any questions or anything like that, or any reports you'd like me to run?
If you got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box for us. John, we appreciate you taking the time to do this. Hopefully you guys found that valuable. There's a lot of information here you can dive into. And I know a couple of you guys are number fanatics, and this is just a tool that's going to allow you to go a lot deeper and provide some great information. So John, thank you so very much. We appreciate your time. And I'll make sure we share that support information at the bottom as well. So, if anybody's running into any issues or questions, they can make sure they get their questions answered. So John, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful day. And like I said, if you have any questions too, just go straight to support. They're very easy to get a hold of. So have a wonderful and healthy day, everybody.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. So I wanted to just do a couple updates here. We have a few things we want to get you guys wrapped up, so we're not this doesn't go any longer than an hour, but a couple updates. I've had a lot of questions on open houses. Agents asking, when can we start doing open houses again? So we have a leadership meeting today at 1 where we're going to be discussing that. We believe within the next 2 weeks is when we're going to open those back up to the company, and then also offer some guidelines. So we want to make sure that we're putting some specific guidelines around those open houses, keep you safe, keep everybody safe, some best practices. So watch out for that. That should be coming here very, very, very shortly. So we appreciate your patience on that. We just want to make sure we're being responsible. So that is coming shortly. The other thing I want to touch on real quick is the face coverings. You've seen my emails that went out, the videos that we sent. I know you've been talking with your leadership in the meetings. I know I was on a few meetings yesterday where we were talking about this. We're being very cautious in following the governor's directive to a T. Okay, so if you're in the office, you're not behind closed doors by yourself, we do need you to wear a face covering of some sort. If you're out walking around in the hallways or talking to an agent in an open area, we need a face covering. Face covering can be a mask. Face covering can just be a cloth mask. I know, there's those neck things that come up that a lot of people are using. So don't know how long that's going to last, but it will be up to the governor, and we're going to follow those directives to keep you guys safe, to keep our staff safe. We do have admins starting to come back into the offices. That is going to continue to happen over the next 2 weeks. Some people may be higher risk. Some people may be uncomfortable. So please do respond to that. I really don't want our leadership or our administrators being the mask police. Okay. So, out of respect to them and everybody else around you, please, I know it's difficult. I hate doing it too. Mark and I had a meeting, recruit meeting on Monday where all 4 of us are sitting around in masks trying to talk to each other, and I can't see anyone's face. It was driving me nuts. But I know for some of you guys it's not comfortable, but we do ask that you do respect that, so we keep everybody safe. So please do that for us. The market update, you pretty much saw it. I'm not going to go back into everything, but if you saw those lines of increase in under contract properties, even new listings are starting to go up. Now they're getting eaten up right off the bat because people are buying them. We're seeing multiple offers everywhere, but we're seeing a good increase in May, very good increase. So the market is definitely coming alive. So make sure that you're getting into Broker Metrics, running those reports for your clients. Post them on Facebook, post them on your social media as well too. Email them to your clients. All those reports are now available to you at your fingertips. So Mark, anything you want to add to that?
No, agreeing with trying to be steadfast and true with the masks. Not the greatest thing, but we have to protect ourselves and each other. So that being the case, we just have to do it. So we'll get through it.
Yep, we will. Mark, you want to talk about any wins?
Certainly. So wins on listings and contracts, obviously a very compromised time, different mode of operation for everybody. So I want to try to open this up a little bit to some interaction with you guys and let us know what wins you've had, some things that were peculiar that occurred that you wanted to share with everybody. And, as always, if I don't hear from you, I'll call you out. So jump right in. Anyone? Unmuting. Rich, what do you got?
I think it's the power of our community. I talked about it yesterday in the Strongsville meeting, but for the past 5 months, I've been working with the first-time home buyer in Parma, looking for something under 125,000, and then COVID happened, and then it became under 120,000. And then, I can't tell you how many offers I wrote out for these freaking people. I can probably read our contract verbatim at this point. But put some feelers out to the company and said, hey, this is what I got. What do you have coming? And thankfully, Harry Gerchek and I were able to come and make a deal happen for both our clients that allow the seller to not have to deal with showings. And we were able to secure a property for the buyer, and I think everybody's pretty happy with the way everything went. So it's the power of our community, man. I think when everybody comes together to work together to achieve a common goal, I think that's where the magic happens. And thankfully Terry and I were able to put this one together.
Perfect. There's a whole new normal that's coming into play with the circumstances that we're finding ourselves in. But at the same time, these are some tools and techniques that we'll use that will probably carry into the transition into normalcy. So, Paula, I know that you kind of work in an area that I'm near and dear to my heart. So what are you finding has been a creative method to get things moving in this market?
So I have just been going, I did the KV Core Agent Success Plan. So I've been going back into conversion and kind of relearning stuff that I was doing and picking up some new things as well. I do have folks that I'm working with, and I feel good about, the energy in the market seems to be improving. I want to put it out there that I've got a buyer now who's looking at condominiums. In the past week, we've had 2 condominiums that we've wanted to see that went into contract day 1.
Wow.
So we're unable to get in there the first day. They're just not available anymore. So I want to put that out there for other agents who, might have buyers that they're with. If something comes up that looks like a good fit, you better jump.
That's great. Has anybody done any market reports or videos or anything online or on social media that's had great success over the last week and a half with potential buyers and sellers out there? Does anybody have any success stories regarding that?
So Deb, this is Edith.
Hey, Edith.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I had a virtual open house, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And it was very well perceived. And 3 days later, we got an offer on the house. So I don't know if it was directly related to the virtual open or not, but I know right after that, she came in and said, hey, my buyer saw this house online and wanted to come through, and they put an offer in, the seller accepted it. So
All right.
it's still, the good thing about the virtuals though is that it's still being shared and passed around, because I still look at the total views and it keeps going up every day. So people are actually still seeing the house even though it's under contract.
Yep. It never goes away. It never goes away, and people are looking for that right now. It's whether you're doing a Facebook Live, whether you're going through the whole process that we sent out through KV Core, where you're boosting it, you're promoting it, reminders are going out, they're registering for it. There's a million different ways to do it. But Edith, you're 100% right. It never goes away. It just keeps gaining more and more steam and momentum. That's great. Congratulations.
Perfect.
Anybody else want to share?
One thing I think has been really helpful in my buyer consultations the last week and a half, because they're all now virtual, is I've been using the ability to share my screen as a great way to dive into the MLS and actually show, here's all the inventory, here's what it's priced at, Here's what it's going under contract for. Let's, so being able to do a complete almost analysis for the buyer, knowing here's why we need you to be pre-approved at the, in this range, because here's where homes are selling. It's been a lot, way easier than actually printing things out, sitting there and going, 123 Main Street sold for this. But when I can actually share my screen and show them in real time, here's what's going on in Brecksville. Here's why we need to price the way we do. Here's why you need to, the window at which you need to look. It's actually helped me win more buyers and get homes under contract faster.
And it's funny because you're right. Back before all this, we would schedule a time to meet with them. We'd go to their house. They'd come into the office. It would have to be when they're not working. I mean, you could do that at 9 night just through a Zoom meeting or a hangout, whatever, and you share your screen. You have all that information. Now with Agent Metrics and everything you have available there too, it's just going to make it much more easier to share that without having to compile it all. So Rich, that's fantastic, man. I agree with you 100%. Anybody else have any success stories with that?
So I started the ninja training and finished that here a couple weeks ago. And so on the part of the program is doing 2 written letters every morning to, your sphere or whatever. So I've been doing reviews where I send those out to my family and friends. I just, we may have not even talked about real estate, but I'll take a look at where their location is and just do a review of that neighborhood. Or, if I have to go a mile out or 2 miles out or whatever, but those have been sparking conversations for me. So that's been pretty encouraging. And also on top of that, I've been really banging my LinkedIn connections hard, trying to I'm trying to get up to 500. I started about a month and a half ago at 82, and now I'm up to 340.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's going pretty well. And I actually just got a message on LinkedIn here this morning. Guy wants to talk about listing his duplex up in Lakewood. So those are 2 small successes so far. So
that's awesome, Ben. Congratulations. I know a lot of you guys have been talking about the education. So so far we've had 21 people finish the Agent Success Plan. We did a push where hopefully I'm not breaking up. It keeps staying my connection's unstable. But we did a push, a 30-day push that's going to end on Friday. So we had 21 that completed it. We have 148 that started it. So on Friday, we're going to send out those certificates and the designations. So if possible, try to get those done before Friday for us so that we can all send that out to everybody and congratulate you for getting that done. But, listen, we've been talking about now for 2 months, spending time educating yourself to get ready when this thing opens up. Well, today's the day. Okay, it's open. It's staring us right in the face. So, we've been continuing to say, okay, educate yourself, use this time wisely. We want you to continue to do that because we have all these tools and resources at our fingertips to have us grow and get better. But now's the time to take that education that we've been learning over the last 2 months and start implementing it because the spring market is on us. It is here. Buyer demand is crazier than I think I've ever seen it since I've been licensed. We see, multiple offers, and, I was talking to an agent that had 34 offers on a property over the weekend. 34 offers. It's crazy. That's crazy. I don't even know how you have that many showings in a weekend, with how all this is going on. So it is here. Education for your clients, all the tools that we've been talking about, all the different reports and everything you can run to give to your clients to let them know what's truly happening. We were talking in a bunch of office meetings yesterday. I can read 10 articles saying that we're in the biggest real estate recession that we've ever been in our entire lives. And I can go online and read another 10 articles that say real estate's hotter than it's ever been. Right? There's so much misinformation out there. You are the one that goes out and educates your client as to truly what the market's doing, not what they're reading, not what they're hearing, but here's what's actually happening. And using those tools are going to make you now more successful than ever. Mark, you want to add to that?
Plug into all these things. I mean, obviously the end is near, and it's creating a huge insurgence of people's incentive with hair salons and restaurants, and, not very happy about the gyms not opening yet, but it is what it is. But you're going to find that excitement among your clients because people are starting to get out. People are starting to see improvement, and with the weather breaking, these are all huge advantages where you can take that energy, ball it up, and turn it into success. So I recommend dive in. There's great opportunities out there.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff?
Yeah, I'm reading your background. Yes, Mr. Lloyd.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Plugging in on one thing regarding sharing the screen and Zoom meetings, tying that in with electronic signatures, I found that sharing the screen works really well when you're trying to explain a contract being signed electronically.
So you're saying not hosting in-person signing, but actually doing a Zoom meeting or another meeting, sharing your screen with them while they're signing the agreement.
So they can see the contract and not just have to, you can go over section by section.
Jeff, that's a great idea. Anybody else have any success doing that? Because I'll tell you, what drives me nuts when we're reviewing.
Jeff, I have. Jeff, I have.
Is that
This
Tammy?
is Tammy. Yeah, I have. I've been doing the same thing as Jeff Lloyd. I've been able to show stuff throughout, whether it's with an agent, like training them, or with a client, actually showing them on the screen, and it's been really helpful. It's made us do this.
Yeah.
We didn't do it before. We've always had it available. We just didn't do it. Now this has forced us to do this, and I think it'll kind of stick with us.
It's amazing how comfortable people are with these formats now, and how effective you really can be. And I encourage you guys continue to do that. It's a great idea with your clients. I think that could be very successful. Thank you, Tammy. Mark, you want to talk about future training?
Yes, so that's next on my list. So we've had multiple discussions and meetings in regards to grip, which seems to be a little bit more of a contact sport. So we didn't want to try to dilute it down by putting that on Zoom. So we're going to kind of have to stand by on that regard. However, Launch, formerly known as New Agent Training, we have a leadership meeting later on today to see what the demand is on new agents coming in. As many of you know, the state was closed down for a bit. So we wanted to see what that looks like. But the intention is to very, very soon is to implement a full round of Launch via Zoom that is always open to everyone in the company. It'll be a new format, but it seems like the beta testing that we've done with anything that's regarding Zoom has deemed very successful. So keep your eyes on your email as far as what that looks like. We're currently working on that. So, and at that point, once Launch has completed its 6 weeks, we may be in a situation where we can assemble in groups. There's also some discussion about possibly splitting the grip day up. Same criteria, but doing a session in the morning and in the afternoon to keep the number of people down. That's still in discussion. Nothing has been kind of approved there yet, but we are certainly working on keeping the momentum going in this peculiar circumstance that we're in. So stay tuned. All right.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to be talking about a couple things. We've had a product for you guys now with KV Core for quite a while called Circle Picks, and we have probably about half of you guys have logged in and looked at it. I'd probably say about 35-40% are utilizing it, and it's really going over property promotion. Great ways to promote listings, promote properties. So we're going to touch on that a little bit next week. We do have one more exciting product launch possibly coming for you guys for a convenience factor that we'll be talking about. I'm going to leave you hanging on that, but I think you guys are really going to be excited about it. We'll probably be touching on that next week as well too, and going over some Q&As. What I really want to do is have some more participation from you guys in these. If you have things you would like us to cover, because really it's just me and Mark coming up with these agendas every week. We would love input from you. I mean, you could put it in the chat right now, something that you'd like us to go over and cover in the upcoming weeks. Feel free to ask the question now, but really want some good participation, because I mean, you guys are out there every day in the trenches, working, every day. We want to make sure that we're covering good, relevant content for you as well too. The last thing I'm going to be sending everybody is a resource that you guys can tap into. Some of this stuff has come from Leading RE. So these are all the different webinars based on what has been happening. Some of them are economic updates. Some are Mike Staber, Stay Calm and Productive in Time of Crisis, Matthew Ferrara, Mike Dupree. Tammy and I have been listening to this guy quite a bit over the last couple weeks. He's the numbers guy. He goes over and dives deep into numbers and what's happening in the market. So all these are different resources that you can plug into. Here's a Leading RE's COVID-19 resource page. Offers great resources for your clients on COVID-19. This is some NER relief with NER grants that are made available to certain agents. So I wanted to put that in there for you to look at. And this last one up here is the 2020 NER legislative meetings. These are the meetings I was telling everybody about last week that are being held in Washington, D.C. They're free to agents. There's actually a really great one. If you click on this link, you can register for today. It's with the economist for NER, Lawrence Yun. I got really bad internet right now, guys. Sessions and meetings. So I think it's actually at 11 o'clock, right after this meeting. You can jump on it if you just click on. We're not going to send that link out yet, so just go to NER's website. You'll see the link to log into it or to register for it. But it's the Residential Economic Forum. It's only about an hour long, but it is fantastic. He does it every year, so you might want to jump into that as well too. But the rest of the conference is free to everybody, so feel free to register and take advantage of that information as well. So that'll be going out with recording the link to everybody. But we appreciate you. Let me look at chats, see if anything has come in here. Jeff, can you cover showing time? Level of service Russell was paying for. Yeah, so we have, with showing time, we have the version that is all virtual. So the virtual reports, scheduling virtually, being able to have the alerts go directly to your seller. We're not paying for the phone service. It's pretty much the same service that we had with showing time or with CSS before they merged, but we upgraded it to the higher level than what's actually being offered in the MLS. But if you want, we can go into a little bit more detailed explanation of that and how to use that effectively. So any other questions, comments before we break, guys?
Hey, Jeff, I just wanted to let you know this is Jessica Higgins out of the Amherst office. I didn't speak before because I have the baby that was crying, but I was doing the agent success plan, and I'm all done with it. And one of the things I got out of it, actually, that's been on my mind, some people were like, I don't know 100 people. I'm like, yes, you do. And they broke it down, like, how many people do you know with pets? How many people do you know with birthdays in July? Stuff like that. So I started breaking stuff down. You never know how many people you know. So I reached out to all these people. I have 2 listings, and I don't even know how many buyers now to November that's starting to look. So I just wanted to point out, like, that agent success plan did amazing for me.
Oh, that's great, Jessica. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, there's so many different ways to utilize all that. And all we need to do is figure out what, how it's going to best suit our needs. That's fantastic. I'm glad to see you had great success with that, Jessica. That's awesome.
And Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Bob?
Jeff, this is Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to remind and announce for everyone, please mark your calendars on Thursday, May 28th from 3:30 to 4:30. We're going to be doing a legal update with Skip Lazaro. So if you have questions, this will be a Zoom meeting. if you have questions or things that you would like to have discussed, please email me at rcolvin@russellrealtors.com, and Skip and I will do our best to get it on the agenda. But mark your calendar. It should be a good afternoon.
Yeah, and we're going to send an invite out on that this week to sign up. It'll be a Zoom meeting just like we're doing here, but just a great legal update to keep everybody safe moving forward. Thanks, Bob.
What
date?
May
Bob,
28th?
Jeff, what date was that again?
The
Bob broke up.
28th, May 28th. And we believe, Bob, what time
Thursday.
was it? 10 o'clock?
No, it's a Thursday afternoon, 3:30 to 4:30.
Oh, 3:30 to 4:30 on the 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
No problem. And I'll
Yep.
make sure we send out a Zoom link on that very shortly to get everybody to register for that as well.
As well, Jeff, I was going to point out with the agent success, because like I did the original conversion plan, and then the next one that came out with KV Core when we switched over, because I've been with this from the beginning.
Sure.
And so you were pushing for us to do the agent success, and me as the manager and thinking I knew everything. I didn't do it until we've been in shutdown. And
Yep.
I actually sat down and did the whole thing, and there were things that I learned as well, and there were tips, and there was things that I had forgotten about that it brought to the front for me to think about and to pass on to people. So even old dogs like me can learn something new.
Yep. I'm doing the same thing, Tammy. I'm almost through it. I got a couple more to watch. So I'm doing the exact same thing. So thanks for the input there. All right. It's 10:58. So unless anybody has anything else to say, we're going to break here. I appreciate you jumping on with us. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you so very much. We'll make sure we get this recording out too if you need to view it at a later date with all that information from broker or agent matrix. So have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week. See ya.
Stay safe. Be mighty. See ya.